You Can Heal family. Welcome to another reading of the Old Testament. We have renamed it Study With Me. And that's what we're going to do. It's really late. Blessing had her birthday today. There's 10 more minutes left in the day. I'm just getting into my bed, literally crawling into my bed right now. But I'm telling you, I need to hear from Jesus. And I'm going to read this Bible. And you will hear it in the morning. It will be posted at 7. I learned so many things today. I had to get up, early and take Brent to school because I had to get 2 cortisone shots in my knees. And let me tell you, the pain is so bad. But I learned a lesson, you anticipate the pain, or I do anyways, driving to the doctor, like how much it's going to hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And I get there, and I'm one of those people, when they stick the needle in, I have to look. Like, I can't look away. I have to know exactly what's happening. And I'm just thinking, this is hurting so bad. But what I realize every time is like the pain doesn't last forever. I'm watching the shot go in, and it hurts, but then it's over. And that's like with life, when we're going through something, and it seems like I'm never going to get out of this. Yes, you will. It'll end. But what's the lesson in it? That's what we've got to stay focused on. Like, what's the lesson? And today, for me, it was, don't worry about it all the way there. Don't waste that good 20-minute drive anticipating the pain. Be focused on anything else. Be focused on things that are lifting you up, are moving you forward, are encouraging you, or listening to something, or praising the Lord, or just remembering moments that bring smiles to your face. But let's not focus on the pain all the way there and then deal with it. Like, let's eliminate that 20 minutes of suffering. So nevertheless, glad I got it done. It was long overdue. I try to hold out. So that's what was going on this morning. And then I drove around so much getting ready for Blessing's birthday. And it was really nice because my new mom's husband, granddaughter and daughter-in-law came, which was really cool. So the family's growing, plus my daughter and her fiance were there, and I'm going to be a grandma. So my family's really small, and it's growing. Now, all this stuff, if this is your first time, my name is Shena Major, and I'm a life coach. So if you're tuning in for the first time listening to the Study With Me, you're going to learn about who I am, and I'm going to kind of fill you in on my day, because this is my time too. Right? We're doing this together as a You Can Heal family. So I'm just kind of reflecting on my day and learned so many good lessons. Now listen, do you want to know something else I learned? And I was going to go live tonight, but it's just too late. I was going to do the tuck in time and read our book, Destiny, but I'm just going to read the word. But today, a couple things happened. And I was like, we're learning lessons in destiny, and just lessons I've learned in life. Like, where are we really? When people aren't looking, what are we doing? How are we carrying ourselves? So today I was at Wegmans. Now, Wegmans originated in the city I'm from, and now I believe it's definitely in Pennsylvania, and I think it's in Maryland too. So if any of you listening know what Wegmans is, that's where I was, a grocery store. And where I parked, I was like adjacent, right across from the next row, where it's for pregnant parents only. Now, I don't know why, but it looked like this man was getting out of his mother's car or something and getting in to his car. So me, instead of going into the store and doing what I needed to do for my daughter's birthday, I'm watching this thing play out. I did. I wasn't minding my business. But there's a lesson here. Because the young man gets out of his car. Now, am I stereotyping? He was an African-American young man. He had a do-rag on, and he's sitting in the pregnant parent parking for small children. Parking for pregnant parents, pregnant moms, or small children. And he's just sitting there like on his phone, doing whatever. And I was just thinking, we've all done things like that. But we're just not aware, or that's what I had to say. I'm glad I'm now aware, like, but I'm the kind of person too, like I follow the rules. So if that says for pregnant women and I'm not pregnant, or for small children and I don't have a small child with me, I'm not going to park there. But some people will, like this young man did. Now, am I saying because he's black and he had a do-rag on, that's why he did it? No. So why did I mention that? I don't know. I guess I need to search my heart for that. But it could have been anybody sitting there, and just, to me, it was saying we need to be more considerate of other people. Now, there were other parents of small children parking spaces available, but still, like, you're not in any of those situations, so why was he there? You know, what's going on with people that would want them to do something that takes up a space for someone else? So I really tried to be mindful of that. And then it was my daughter's birthday, like I keep telling you, and she, you know, one of the other girls from the team came over after school, so that she wanted a birthday lunch. So I just ran through McDonald's for them, and I look out my window as I'm waiting to pay, and in the bush, this is not a ram in the bush, this is, are you ready for it? A cigarette butt. I said, oh my goodness. Now, if you're going to smoke, that's your business. You know, that's your business. I'm not going to do that. But if you do that, get the lesson. It's not about the habit you have. It's about, like, why flick the habit you have when you're done in a bush for everybody to see, when you can, like, you know, keep it in an ashtray in your car or dispose of it some other way. But I don't know. Now, did it bother me? Yeah, it bothered me, because I'm thinking, what makes people do things like that? Like, I want to look out the window and look at the beautiful bush and not look at a cigarette butt. Now, I could have gone the extra mile and opened my car door, grabbed a napkin out of my glove compartment, grabbed the cigarette butt, but no, I was not doing all that. I absolutely was not going to do that. But it just, again, it was like twice in like a matter of 20 minutes that someone did something without considering a different person, because someone's going to have to go get it, you know, who worked the ground area and touch someone else's thing that was on their mouth. You know, it's just making more work for someone else. And what would make someone want to do that if it's their responsibility to dispose of it the right way? Or if it was a young man's responsibility to read the sign and follow the guidelines. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you got the lesson out of that. Maybe you heard something that's going to make you think. I don't know. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, I kind of want to share that on my channel. So I just did. If you didn't like the stories, or if you didn't want to listen, well, you got to take it. And if you didn't want to take it, you could have just skipped over this, or, like, you know, hit that 10-second button and fast forward. So you have choices here on this channel. If you ever hear something that's boring you or is not making sense for you, you're free to walk away and decide if you're going to come back. And that's loving yourself. That's growth, right? But those are couple of my stories. And oh, one more thing. My daughter wanted ice cream cake for her, like, treat dessert after dinner, and I made 3 pans of lasagna. It was so good. And let me tell you, I was like so excited when she said she wanted ice cream cake, because that is my all-time favorite, and I always eat it the same way. I save the crunch for last, the chocolate part, and then the creamy part around the crust of the ice cream. Can ice cream have crust around the edges? Oh my goodness, I cracked myself up. So yeah, that was a nice treat. So anyways, you can heal family. I'm just letting you know what my day was like as I'm getting myself into this bed, literally. So I think I've kind of transitioned enough. When I do things, I just can't jump right in. I gotta, like, reflect, I gotta wind down, I gotta take some deep breaths, I gotta have my water. You know, I just, as I'm serving the Lord and serving here on this channel and serving you, I have to just kind of transition into things. So with all that long behind introduction, we are in Genesis, and I did not, oh my gosh, are we in chapter 44? That's where my bookmark was. Joseph could stand it no longer. Oh my gosh, how can I return to my father if the boy is not with me? I cannot bear it. Joseph could, Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers. Okay, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to be right back, because I'm not, about to look through all these chapters to jog my memory. Where did we leave off last? His brothers ate in the palace, right? I think that's the last thing we read. Yeah, prepare a big feast. Take them inside. So yeah, I think we are in chapter 44. All right, so I'm not going to stop the video. I'm just going to keep going. Yeah, the last thing we read is he took them in. Joseph had the brothers go in the palace and made them a wonderful feast, which I thought was beautiful. Beautiful story. So now we're in chapter 44 of Genesis. We're reading the Open Bible, New Living Translation. So I hope you appreciated that 10 minutes and 35 seconds of the recap of my day. And I thank God for all of it and the lessons learned. There were so many more today too that I'll just read now. All right, here we go. When his brothers were ready to leave, Joseph gave these instructions to the man in charge of his household. Fill each of their sacks with as much grain as they can carry, and put each man's money back into his sack. Then put my personal silver cup at the top of the youngest brother's sack, which was Benjamin, Jacob's favorite, along with his grain money. So the household manager did as he was told. So I want to just go back. It looks like they're leaving again. Joseph ate by himself. His brothers were served at a separate table in verse 32 of the previous chapter. It says the Egyptians sat at their own table because the Egyptians despised Hebrews and refused to eat with them. That's why Joseph had to be separated, because they didn't know it was his brother yet. They figured he was an Egyptian. And Joseph told each of his brothers where to sit, and he ordered them. Remember, oldest, was it oldest to youngest? He seated them in order of their ages. Yeah, from oldest to youngest. Their food was served to them from Joseph's own table. He gave the largest serving to Benjamin, 5 times as much as to any of the other soldiers. So they all feasted and drank. Okay, so now they're headed back to their dad, to Jacob. And as they're heading back, Joseph put the silver cup in his brother Benjamin's sack. Okay, so I think, as we know, if you read the story before, he's ready to see his dad. So this is going to be the way. So let's read and listen. In verse 3, so the brothers were up at dawn and set out on their journey with their loaded donkeys. But when they were barely out of the city, Joseph said to his household manager, chase after them and stop them. Ask them, why have you repaid an act of kindness with such evil? Now, Joseph, I thought we were past all this scheming and plotting, and here you go again, setting something up. Oh gosh, yeah. And then he's trying to, say to them, like, I've been so nice and kind to you, and this is what you do to me? You steal from me? Knowing doggone well he put it there. And in verse 5 they say, what do you mean by stealing my master's personal silver drinking cup, which he uses to predict the future? What a wicked thing you have done. So the man caught up with them and spoke to them in the way he had been instructed. What are you talking about? The brothers responded. What kind of people do you think we are? Okay, so they're talking to a servant, this conversation, and now he's saying, what are you talking about? The brothers responded, what kind of people do you think we are, that you accuse us of such a terrible thing? Didn't we bring back the money we found in our sacks? And why would we steal silver or gold from your master's house? If you find his cup with any one of us, let that one die, and all the rest of us will be your master's slaves forever. So this was a big, what is this? Statement of confidence. Like, the brothers knew they did not steal from the master's house. So they're like, okay, check our stuff. If you find it, we'll be your slave forever. And verse 10, the servant said, fair enough. The man replied, except that only the one who stole it will be a slave. The rest of you may go free. So this is how he's going to keep Benjamin in Egypt with them. Verse 11, they quickly took their sacks from the packs of their donkeys and opened them. Joseph's servants began searching the oldest brother's sack, going on down the line to the youngest. The cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Verse 13, at this they tore their clothes in despair. Now remember, Reuben, was it Reuben? Yeah, I think it was Reuben who said, if our brother doesn't return, Father, my life is in your hands, right? Reuben said to his father in chapter 43, you may kill my 2 sons if I don't bring Benjamin back to you. I'll be responsible for him. So now they searched all the oldest brothers and got to Benjamin, and sure enough, there's the cup. And they all ripped off their clothes and fell to the ground before him. At this time, verse 13, at this, they tore their clothes in despair, loading the donkeys again, and returned to the city. Joseph was still at home when Judah and his brothers arrived, and they fell to the ground before him. What were you trying to do? Joseph demanded. Didn't you know that a man such as I would know who stole it? And Judah said, oh my Lord, what can we say to you? How can we plead? How can we prove our innocence? God is punishing us for our sins. My Lord, we have all returned to be your slaves, we and our brother who had your cup in his sack. So remember, they plotted to kill their brother, and now they're like, we how can we prove our innocence? Like, this time we really did nothing wrong. And they're reflecting back to what they did to Joseph, their brother, and is saying, God is punishing us for our sins. So they're reflecting on, their behavior from 22 years ago. Remember, 22 years, I believe, had gone past. And verse 17, no, Joseph said, only the man who stole the cup will be my slave. The rest of you may go home to your father. Then Judah stepped forward and said, my Lord, let me say just this one word to you. Be patient with me for a moment, for I know you could have me killed in an instant, as though you were Pharaoh himself. You asked us, my Lord, if we had a father or a brother. We said, yes, we have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, his youngest son. His brother is dead, meaning Joseph. So he's talking to his dead brother, and he alone is left of his mother's children. And his father loves him very much. I keep getting the Rachels and Rebecca's mixed up. So he's talking about Rachel, right, you guys? Let me know in the comments. I'm not searching that again. I don't know why I can't get those 2 women names right. And you said to us, bring him here so I can see him. But we said to you, my Lord, the boy cannot leave his father, for his father would die. But you told us, you may not see me again unless your youngest brother is with you. So we returned to our father and told him what you had said. Now this is, I got to go back. I'm on verse 25. Let me put my thumb there. This is Judah doing all the talking. And I can't remember. I thought Judah had said something to his father Jacob too about bringing his brother back, because Judah, I can't remember, was it Judah who didn't want to do the plan? Reuben had failed the duty. Hold on, I'm checking something. But Judah said, okay, here it is in chapter 43. But Judah said, the man wasn't joking when he warned that we couldn't see him again unless Benjamin came along. If you let him come with us, we will go down and buy some food. But if you don't let Benjamin go, we may as well stay at home. Remember that the man said, you won't be allowed to come and see me unless your brother's with you. Judah said to his father, send the boy with me and we will be on our way. Otherwise, we will all die of starvation. I personally guarantee his safety. Okay, this is what I was looking for. It wasn't Reuben, it was Judah doing all the pleading right now. and talking, and my thumb was on verse 25, and talking to Jacob about why the brother shouldn't stay. And he said, because he said to his father, I personally guarantee his safety. This is Judah talking to Jacob in chapter 43, verse 8. If I don't bring him back to you, then let me bear the blame forever. For we could have gone and returned twice by this time, if you had let him come without delay. And I think there was commentary about this deal he's making with his dad. Judah, who suggested selling Joseph, now offered his own life as a surety for Benjamin's life. Yeah, because all those years had gone by. So that was a big deal. All right, back to verse 25, because I think I'd said Reuben a few minutes ago, but this is Judah talking to his brother. Verse 25, and when he said, go back again and buy us a little food, we replied, we can't unless you let our youngest brother go with us. We won't be allowed to see the man in charge of the grain unless our younger brother is with us. Then my father said to us, you know that my wife had 2 sons, and that one of them went away and never returned, doubtless torn to pieces by some wild animal. I have never seen him since. If you take away his brother from me too, and any harm comes to him, you would bring my gray head down to the grave in deep sorrow. So this is Judah telling his supposedly dead brother to his face, Joseph, what would happen to their father, to Joseph's father, if he did not bring his brother back. So now it says in verse 30, and now, my Lord, this is Judah talking, I cannot go back to my father without the boy. Our father's life is bound up in the boy's life. Oh, and how many parents are so caught up in their children's lives that when they are gone, they have no life of their own, or just the love. But I'm learning with my kids, like, letting them go. God used my womb to get them on this planet, and they belong to him. And when I'm dealing with an issue with Bren or with Blessing, those are my daughters. If it's your first time, and Blessing just turned 17 today, and Bren is 9. But when something comes up, I just need to listen and hear them out. Bren told me the other day, you know, Mom, when I'm trying to tell you something, you cut me off and start talking and you don't listen to me. I said, oh my goodness. You know, now I'm listening to everybody else I'm working with, and my 9-year-old had to let me know. But I was so happy for her using her voice and telling me, you know, sometimes I don't feel heard, like you're always trying to, you know, life coach me. She didn't say it like that, but I could hear her, like, because I'm trying to jump in and come up with these great solutions, or I think they're great, or all these wonderful words of wisdom. But she's like, no, I just want you to listen. So such a reminder, people just need and want to be heard, especially your children. And sometimes we think that, you know, we got to go in there and make sure we say everything and let them know so they don't have to experience hardship. And I said to Bren, you know, Bren, it's because I don't, you know, I want you to do well and blah, blah, blah. And I said, and then I had to throw the Bible in. The Bible says if you listen to your parents, you live a long, happy life. But then so then she said something, and as we're talking, I'm like, you know, Bren, you're right. I apologize, and I just have to let you write your own testimony. She says, well, what does that mean? So then we're in this whole other conversation show. So the whole conversation turned out to be very fruitful. But I'm telling you, children are paying attention to how we're responding to them and what we're saying. And I was just so proud of her for having her voice. And the whole conversation started because she was telling me about a little boy in her class and a group project that she has, and how the one is taking over. And so it was just a whole thing, right? So we had a good car ride, a good talk driving home. No, we were driving home from the volleyball game last night. That's when we had this conversation. If you wanted to know. Now, I keep saying, every time I go off on a tangent, I'm reminding you this is a recording, And I'm not editing anything, and I'm sharing my life with you as I'm reading this word, because this is what's coming up for me. And it's good. This is good. When we're reading the word, things come up and we can reflect on conversations. And think about, where did I go wrong there? What could I have done better? What would God have done? And just try to be more and more like Him every day. So He's correcting us and strengthening us, teaching us. So I don't know what I read that got me on that story, but there you have it. You gotta take it. Lisa, I said that for you. Okay, now it's 12:15, 12:16. Okay, I'm getting sleepy, getting silly. All right, verse 31. Okay, so Judah just said to his brother Joseph, my dad's life is bound up in the boy's life. Okay, that's how I got on that tangent. Verse 31. When he sees that the boy is not with us, our father will die. We will be responsible for bringing his gray head down to the grave in sorrow. Okay, now his dad's head would not have to have been down in the grave in sorrow, Judah and Reuben and all the other brothers, if you didn't lie to your dad and tell him that his son was dead. Oh my gosh, see how everything we do affects everything else. That's a whole nother lesson there. Like choices that you make and things that are you're doing, and even as you're healing from things that are not your fault, like as we get older, we're not children anymore, and we have to start taking some responsibility and making decisions to heal from some things and to grow and go through the pain. Oh, you cannot go around it. You can't act like things did not happen. You've got to deal with them. You really do, and it's hard to do, but just keep listening to these read with me's, and God will help you. God will help you grow and get there. So why did I go off on that tangent? What did I read? Oh, I was saying how, everything that we do affects other people. And this is a good example how the brother's actions now are affecting their father by their behavior and the decision they made to sell his brother off, to Egypt. But now they're going to blame the brother that they sold, that if we don't bring him back because you won't let us, then our dad's going to die. No, brothers, let's look at the whole truth. If you didn't sell him, your father wouldn't be in this state of mind. Oh my goodness, I tell you. And then he said, let me just read verse 32 again. My Lord, I made a pledge. Okay, my Lord, I made a pledge to my father. This is Judah talking, that I would take care of the boy. I told him, if I don't bring him back to you, I will bear the blame forever. Please, my Lord, let me stay here as a slave instead of the boy, and let the boy return with his brother. So this is so interesting. So now you have Judah, Joseph's brother, talking to a man he thinks is just the Egyptian second in charge in Pharaoh's house, but he's telling his brother, looking him dead in the face, what's going to happen if you don't come back. And Joseph knows he got rid of his brother and made him off for dead, and he's just listening to all this. Oh my gosh. I want to talk to Joseph when I get to heaven and be like, hey, how did it feel? What were, did your heart start racing, or did your armpits start sweating? What were you thinking as you're listening to the brother who sold you plead for basically the life of his dad and his life? And wow, that's interesting. Verse 34 says, "For how can I return to my father if the boy is not with me? I cannot bear to see what this would do to him." Everything just turns. Now, they didn't think of that. They didn't think of how sad their father would be. Remember, they were just upset because their brother had all these dreams, and they'd have to bow down to him. And they were sick of him prancing around in his colorful coat. So that's why their hearts were hardened, and that's why they wanted to get rid of him instead of, loving their brother. God is love, right? They chose a different route, and now they're paying the price for it, and he's pleading for his life and the life of their father. And that last sentence, I cannot bear to see what this would do to him. But they didn't think, that's what I was going to say. They didn't think about that when they returned, of how it was going to affect their father, because it made them feel good. It was what they wanted to do. And they got pleasure out of it. They weren't thinking about their father's gray head going down in sorrow. But now that it's affecting his life, now that there's a consequence for him if he doesn't bring his brother back, now he's ready to fess up, you know. And that's, I think that's what that scripture, when God says, you know, I'll make your enemies your footstool, I'll repay, I'll deal with things, you know, you just keep walking with me, you just keep your eyes on me, you know. And they didn't do that. Instead, the brothers decided to concoct a plan. So that's the end of chapter 44. So interesting, a lot of little nuggets in there. Let's look at the commentary, and then I feel like I'm getting a headache. I'm going to drink some water. I'm really sleepy now. Hold on a second. Oh my goodness, I was really thirsty. I just drank it all. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what did I say? Let's look at the commentary in 44. So it's commentary for verses 2 through 5, 9 through 10, 13, and 33 through 44. So I am not going to go back and reread the scriptures, but I'll read the highlights for each one so you kind of have a reference. So in verse 34, it's talking about 5 times is in bold, and it says to give extra portions signified a special relationship. Oh, I'm looking at commentary for the last chapter, but that was talking about when he gave Benjamin 5 times as much food at the feast in the palace than the other brothers. So they had a special relationship there. Benjamin was Joseph's full brother, his mother's son. Oh, well, that was his full brother, not his half brother. Because remember Bilhah and the other concubines? But Joseph and Benjamin both came from Rachel. Is it Rachel? Here we go again. Yeah, because Rebecca concocted the plan. So yeah, it was Rachel because she was out in the field. So Rachel and Benjamin are full brothers. They both had the same mother and father. So now I'm curious to read 1 Samuel verses 1 through 5. I don't think I read that the last time we posted this. Let me look there real quick. Oh my goodness. I'm doing what I said I was going to do, but you know I love the good turning of the pages. And I'm curious because I have siblings, a brother and a sister who are younger than me, and we have the same dad but different moms. So I just want to see what this reference is in 1 Samuel 1:5. So I'm in 1 Samuel, found it, chapter 1, verse 5 says, I don't even know what this is in reference to, Hannah's barrenness. But he gave Hannah a special portion because he loved her very much. So this must be Elkanah they're talking about. And I think, yeah, this is such a good story in 1 Samuel. A man named Elkanah had a wife named Hannah. She couldn't have kids. He took another wife, Hophni and Phinehas, and they could. And oh my God, this poor lady. It says, but he gave Hannah a special portion because he loved her very much. They must be meaning the Lord there, but yeah, that's all it said. And maybe they referred to this scripture because for Rachel too, remember Leah kept having all the children, and then Rachel finally had Joseph, and then right at the end of her life she had Benjamin. And that story of Hannah is really good. That's when Eli comes in the picture, and Hannah was crying, and you know, the one man thought she was drunk, but she was praying and asking for a child. So we'll get there, though. We'll get there. That's in 1 Samuel. That's a few books away. All right, so that was a little good insight there. So now the silver cup in verses 2 through 5 is in bold, and it says predict the future. And then the commentary reads, oil or water poured into the cup would yield up supposed omens to one trained in reading the appearance of the liquids. What? Tracy Ann, oil or water poured into the cup would yield up supposed omens to one trained in reading the appearance of the liquids. So something about predicting the future with what's in the cup. Oh, and maybe that's why the brother says you can see into the future. So that silver cup, because remember Joseph interpreted dreams, so maybe that's why he was given the silver cup when he was brought in second command of Pharaoh. Right? There's no other references to lead us anywhere. So we just got to trust the Lord with that. All right, the next commentary is verses 9 through 10. Let that one die in bold, and it reads, they were that confident of their innocence. Yeah, remember, they knew. What did it say? How can we prove our innocence? They were pleading like they knew they didn't do anything wrong this time. So they were confident of their innocence. The household manager, however, knowing the eventual outcome, reduced the proposed punishment from death to slavery. Okay, so the household manager knew Joseph was plotting and planted the silver cup in Benjamin's bag. So, he was like, all right, a little grace here. You won't die, but you're going to have to be a slave. I'll, take it back one. And he reduced the proposed punishment from death to slavery. So that's interesting. The household manager had some integrity, right? Oh my gosh. Now I'm back to thinking of the man sitting in the pregnant lady parking and the person who flicked the cigarette butt on the bush. Oh. Yeah, it just, what, in a split second, people have to make decisions and choices about that. And I think if this household manager heard what Judah said and said, okay, I'm going to reduce this sentence for this alleged crime that he knew they didn't commit. And verse 13, it said, tore their clothes, and that signifies deep distress. Have you ever been crying so hard or something that you pull on your shirt, or you're just pulling and stretching your shirt out and kind of leaning back? And I guess in those days the clothes maybe were so loose they just tear them off. I don't know, but I've actually done that. I mean, I hope you can get the visual. You're crying so hard, you're just oh, and you just want to rip something or tear something. And sometimes your clothes are just the closest thing to you, and you're just oh. So when they say tore their clothes, after they were accused and they found the cup in Benjamin's sack, they were in deep distress. And being in deep distress it's deep, right? My goodness. Verse 34, let me stay here as a slave. So that was what Judah was trying to swap positions with his brother. A great change had occurred. 22 years earlier, Judah had sold a younger brother into slavery and lied to his father. Now he offered to become a slave in order to free a younger brother and spare his father from sorrow. Now, isn't that interesting? He is willing to put himself in the same position that Joseph was in, selling, becoming a slave and not being able to return home. Yeah, in order to free his brother, the one he put there. Now, isn't that something? See how good God is? He's got the man, his brother, just putting himself in that same position that the same position that what he did to his brother. Now he is begging to have that happen to him. Now, see how the Lord is? My goodness. In order to free his brother and spare his father's sorrow. But remember, it said that the brothers changed over those 22 years. So, he could have said, fine, keep him here. Who cares what our dad thinks, right? Let him die. But, now he's really trying to turn his life around. So that's hopeful too. Let me point that out for Judah's sake, right? So does that mean Judah's going to be in heaven? We'll see when we get there, right? Talk to him too. You know, ask him a couple of questions. What made you want to do that? Oh, I'm rambling. All right, so that's the end of the commentary for that section, but that was an interesting commentary. You know, now he offered to become a slave, and he made his brother a slave in order to free his younger brother that they didn't like, that they were jealous of, to spare his father from sorrow. So that shows a little bit of love, right? He loved his brother Benjamin. He didn't want Benjamin taken like they did Joseph, you know, away from his dad. And they didn't want his dad to face sorrow. And none of us should, you know, we shouldn't want to do things if we have the opportunity or ability, you know, just to help someone out or spare someone's life. Obviously we should. This is a good example of that. All right, You Can Heal family. I'm just sitting here thinking about that. That's real interesting to me. And that's what happens when you grow and change, because 22 years is a long time. And I just think about my journey over the last 7 years. So I guess, am I even saying that right? The 15th of April will be 8. I'm getting my years mixed up. But yeah, it's just healing and growing and changing is a process, you know, and staying in the Word helps. And just reading something like this, you know, it reminds me, like, things don't happen overnight. There's still areas that I'm working on, even though I'm quote unquote a certified life coach. And I got great coaching from Tony Gaskin's program and another program before his, you know, that was online. It was good. There was good information, but Tony's was way better, you know. So yeah, God is good, right? But we got to do the work in that time. We have to put in effort. You Can Heal family. If you want to change some bad habits that have formed from your childhood programming, or, you know, you got to put in the work. We just can't keep praying. Now, I'm not saying, now, oh my goodness, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying don't pray. I'm saying pray, but as God reveals things to you and shows you things, make that effort to do something. You know, we just can't hear the word. We have to be doers of the word. And we read about that when we read the New Testament. So let's do our part. Let's stay in the work, study. You know, I have a self-love workbook on my website. You can get that. I think it's $10. It's a beautiful 28 pages. It's all the stuff I did, like the main things I did over and over, the exercises that are in that really helped me. You know, so do that. Keep listening to these read with me's, and, you know, taking away things I say, but also things that you're hearing the Lord speak to you, because when you hear the word, it's a supernatural thing. It's God's Spirit. Just open yourself up to allowing Him to come in. Amen. All right, so I went on rambling again. Now it's 43 minutes in and 12 seconds, so maybe you got a long ride to work, or you got a long drive in the morning or at night or something, and you can enjoy our time together listening. So always, always, always remember that true healing begins with self-love. Why? Because God is love, and He lives on the inside of you. I just made a weird sound. I hope it didn't come through on the video. Okay, I'm really sleepy. I'm going to bed. I love you. You Can Heal family. I really do. I really do. Trust God today, or as you fall asleep tonight, He's with you always. All right, we'll talk tomorrow. Bye.